Okay, and we are live streaming.
Thank you, Joe. This is, it's a little after 10 a.m. or a few seconds after 10 a.m. on Friday, the 17th of July. This is a special called meeting of the Town Council of Seabrook Island. I'm John Gregg, the mayor of the town of Seabrook Island. And we are conducting this meeting by video conference with conference call. Anyone who is on the conference call, I ask that you put your telephone on mute so that anything that you may say or any background noises at your location will not interfere with the ability of others on the conference call to hear what's being said. With that, we'll have our volume here on our phone for the conference call turned down. So we will not hear what is being said on the conference call. And with that, Madam Clerk, I ask that you confirm that the notice for this meeting was posted in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, and otherwise that act has been complied with in respect of this meeting.
It has.
Thank you for that. And now we will proceed to the agenda. There is only one item on the agenda for this morning's special meeting, and that is consideration of a temporary use permit application received from Bohicket Marina for the 2020 Bohicket Billfish Tournament. And members have been provided the application in their packets. So with that, I will note that we had a discussion of the application at our Ways and Means meeting on Tuesday, the 14th of July. Subsequent to that, or at that meeting, I should say, we had determined that we would include it on the agenda for an emergency meeting that was scheduled for Tuesday next week. That would be the 21st of July, if I can do my arithmetic correctly. But in any case, we had a request from the marina to take this up on an earlier schedule to accommodate their needs in respect of having whether or not they will proceed with the Billfish tournament. So with that, we have laid the background for this meeting, and I'll ask that Joe offer any comments he wishes to offer in respect of the application for the temporary use permit.
Sure, I tried to put it up on the screen share. Are you able to see that on the screen?
I see it.
Okay. So this is a request from Bohicket Marina and Market over on Andell Bluff Boulevard. They are seeking approval for a temporary use permit for the 2020 Bohicket Invitational Billfish Tournament. This was originally scheduled to take place earlier in the year. As with many items throughout the country and the world, this was postponed to a later date. They are now seeking approval to hold that event between July 29th and August 1st of this year. Site would be restored on August 2nd. Under our current emergency ordinance, the original emergency ordinance 2020-01 basically included language that would cancel or prohibit all new temporary use permits for the duration of that emergency ordinance. That ordinance was subsequently replaced by emergency ordinance 2020-02, which contained a similar provision limiting, prohibiting, or canceling any temporary use permit. But it did include a provision that a temporary use permit could be considered if the event organizer was able to practice or maintain social distancing procedures. So the folks at the marina did submit a revised application for the new dates. And in that application, they did include their precautions or steps that they plan on implementing should this event move forward at the end of this month and early August. I'm not going to go through all those because we talked about them briefly at our Ways and Means Committee meeting on Tuesday, but I do have them up on the screen. Basically, the special provisions that they would implement regarding the captain's meeting, crowd management or crowd control, how vendor booths would be set up at the property, the event dinner, and the award show. They did include just a general type layout that was also included in your packet with the sponsor locations, the t-shirt tent stage and whatnot, and confirmation of Sheriff's Department coverage for that event as well. We do, I believe, have representatives on the call from Bohicket Marina. I'm not sure if that is, let me stop this share here. I don't know, is that Bo or Caitlin or one of you on the line?
It is Joe. It is Caitlin and I. We do not have the ability to do video share on this computer, unfortunately.
Okay. We have you on live with council. If there's anything that you'd like to add.
Yes. Thank you all for coming together for this meeting. We know it was very very sudden and very soon, but we appreciate everyone's assistance on this matter. We have what you've seen on that proposal is what we were prepared to do to keep everyone safe. All the participants that we have coming to fish this tournament. Currently, we've had a few boats drop out of the tournament, and right now we have only 17 boats that are looking to fish. So it won't be anywhere near as big as it has been in the past. Also, we are planning to do food. Salty Dog is going to be doing food just by an online ordering system, which is very unique and something that's very new, and I think it'll be the best way to create that social distancing gap, so we don't have a lot of people kind of gathering around. But the food will be delivered to the boat via an online order. All the trash will be collected on board that boat, and they'll drop it on the dock, and everything will be disposed of. So there won't be anybody mingling around trash cans. There won't be anybody on the docks. We're going to ask the participants to please wear masks the entire time and just have everybody contained to each boat. And as you saw on that proposal, each boat will have 10 wristbands only. Anybody else that tries to access that dock will be turned away by the Sheriff's Department, so they do not, create gatherings out there as well. But we feel like we've done just about the best job as we can to make sure that we comply by the state's orders to have this event, and we would greatly appreciate the consideration for us to hold it. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have right now.
Thank you, Bo. And the way I would like to conduct this is to, as I would call it, go around the horn with members of council to offer any comments or ask any questions. So I'll begin with Councilman Crane.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Looking at a couple of items in here under crowd management and under vendors. Let's start with vendors. The booths will be properly distanced from each other and only allow 4 people per booth. I assume that means 4 people in the booth.
Correct. Yes, sir. There will be, I don't know if there will be 1 or 2 people that will occupy the booth as maybe the sellers or the vendors themselves, but there will only be 4 people total on each booth, and they will be required to wear masks when they approach.
Okay, so that opens up the question about people coming to the booth. If there are a large number I don't know how many there might be, but if there are, let's say, 4 or 5 that want to come up to the booth and talk to the people in the booth, we need to have some provision in there that they're doing the right thing with respect to social distancing.
Sure, yes, sir. We will instruct whoever is operating that booth to only have 4. If they do see more people approaching, we will ask them to instruct those people to step back, maintain their social distancing. And once that group that is inside the booth that is inquiring about any kind of good has vacated, the rest will be allowed to come in, but only 4 total in each booth.
Okay. And with respect to crowd management, really, the whole design of a tournament like this, 10 people per boat, I don't know, whether the boats range anywhere from 25 to 35 or 45 feet?
With each boat, the length, do you mean in regards to the length of the boats? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yes, sir, you're going to have anywhere from probably about 35 to, I think the largest boat we have here is maybe a 72-foot boat coming in.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
So
sir.
but my point, going down to 10 per boat, if there are that many per boat, not a lot of room for social distancing there, and I don't know how we address that and fix that. So I'm wondering, do we want to have some kind of provision or mechanism for checking the people as they return from the fishing? I don't know whether it's taking everyone's temperature or something. I don't want to. I mean, we can work really hard and take all the fun out of this tournament before we're done.
Yes,
That's
sir.
certainly not what any of us want to do.
In regards to that, I'm not sure how to keep people from maintaining their distance while they're on the boat.
I'm not either. Just
I know while they'll be fishing, they'll be interacting, but
sure.
That's something we won't be able to monitor from our point of view.
Right.
But it will be hard for us to go down go down the dock to each boat, make sure everybody's keeping their distance. That's going to be something very difficult for us to handle.
Okay, I think that's all I had, John.
Thank you, Skip. And I'll now call on Councilwoman Finke to present her questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a question about the 10 wristbands per boat. Does that include the captain and crews, or is that just 10 fishermen get the wristbands?
That includes 10 people per boat. So each boat, that's going to include the captain, the fishermen, if they have their wives, children, whoever else is going to be on the boat, but they will be limited to 10. So only close representatives of the family who are all kind of in the same household together. That was our thought process behind the 10 wristbands. So it will include the captain and crew, yes.
But my question is, at this tournament, do families show up to fish, or is it individual fishermen that are not related?
It is a little bit of both. A majority of our participants, it's a family-owned boat, and it's a family sport. So you'll have the family go out on the boat, as well as a few crew to actually assist out there as well.
Okay, and then I noticed that you're still going to have a band. It's marked on the event map. So are people going to be off the boats, mingling, having a beer, listening to the music at some point?
The band is actually part of what Salty Dog does on a couple of days during the week and on weekends. It won't be mainly part of the tournament, but there will be somebody out there playing music, but it won't be anybody that the tournament committee has hired to do so. We did have someone scheduled to play on the docks, but we have canceled that as of recently.
Okay, so then my question is, it's a private event. The actual tournament's not open to the public, but Fisher's, Salty Dog, all those stores will still be open those 3 days, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, that's kind of my questions for now. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Jerry. And now I'll call on Councilwoman Fox for her comments and questions.
Yes, okay. Dovetailing on what Jerry just said, looking at your map, are you thinking that the sheriff is going to keep people from walking down the boardwalk? I guess our citizens, not people who are part of the fisherman's tournament, walking down the dock towards where the sponsors are? I mean, are you going to stop them? I'm looking at the.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, we can't really stop people from walking down the boardwalk because we do still have tenants here that will need to access this boardwalk. What we will do is close off a dock, which is where 95% of the boats will be. And anybody that is accessing that dock will have to show a wristband. And it'll be the same colored wristband for the entire tournament.
Okay, so the citizens will be able to walk along what I consider the dock that runs all the way along the marina, all the way down to the stage and the t-shirt and sponsor tents.
Correct, yes ma'am.
Okay. And you can't limit that.
Unfortunately, we can't. We are going to have the page that we're looking at right here that has the tents. It will be roped off from the boardwalk and the grass area. We're going to try to keep, if anybody does show up, they're not going to be permitted to walk on the docks unless they are a tenant of the marina, because we can't stop people from coming down and using their boats or accessing the dock to get to their boats. But if there are spectators that actually do show up, there's going to be a sign out there saying, tenants and, billfish participants only beyond this point. So there won't be anybody that can come from, say, one of the restaurants and walk down there and look at the boats or anything like that.
Okay, that's reassuring. That was my concern.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else, Pat?
No, that would be it.
All right, thank you. And Barry, we're over to you for questions and comments.
Just a couple questions. So if I get this right, there'll be about 17 boats with 10 people. So you'll be able to control your dock area to about 170 people, and you've got control of that. So are there going to be, how many people do you expect non-participants? So this is you call this a private fishing tournament. Are you advertising this, or is there going to be signs out front saying this is a private tournament, that visitors aren't welcome? How many people do you expect that aren't participating to show up in this event?
Well, that's really hard to say, but yes, we are going to tell people it is a private tournament, and we will have signs up along the boardwalk where we have the same ones that show the tenants and fishing participants only. We will have those signs up, and it will have another sign saying this tournament is closed to the public. But other than who will show up, it's really hard to say. We can do everything we can to tell people, they can't access or they can't come out. But I couldn't tell you who's going to follow those orders and who will not.
Okay. I mean, I think you've made a reasonable effort to control your event. My concern really is, whose responsibility is it if several hundred people come to the marina and decide they want to watch the tournament, even though you've advertised it as a private event? Is that your responsibility? Is that the marina's responsibility? Is that Salty Dog? Who's going to take responsibility for controlling that crowd if they don't social distance and wear masks?
Well, it depends. If they're visiting the restaurant, which I think Salty Dog has an ordinance of how many people they can allow to be on their property at one time, and I think Fishers has the same. The only thing that we can really do is if we see that large amount of people come up, we will just ask them to, they'll have to disperse. If you have a couple people just kind of standing around, that's different. But if you have 700 people, that's something that we'll have to address. And I feel like we can address that if it does happen.
So all of your vendors will be roped off and no public will be allowed to access your vendors.
That's correct.
And when you do your fish wing at the end, there'll be crowd control. So if people come to watch the boats come back in, you'll be telling them, you know, please don't stand around. You'll have, is there a schematic showing us what's going to be roped off and where the public can access?
Yes, if we can go back, I'm not sure who was able to do the screen share, but if you can go back to where we had a picture of the landscape out front where it shows the sponsors and vendor booths, I can tell you exactly. So right here we're looking at, if you look at the very bottom of the page, that start on the corner of the grass is going to be roped off from the grass, pretty much right there where it meets the boardwalk, all the way down to the entrance of B dock, which is the next flip down. Unfortunately, we can't see that one. So all that will be roped off. So nobody will be able to access the docks except for the tenants and the participants. Now, when the participants come to weigh, they'll come right off of A dock and they'll walk over here to where we were planning on having a stage. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll have one, but we will have a kind of a makeshift weigh station that we will weigh the fish on. But if there are people that are gathering, we will have them disperse and clear out.
Well, like I said, I think you've done a good job controlling your event. My concern is the people that aren't in your event that are going to come. Who's going to, like you said, is the responsibility going to fall on the sheriff's department that you're hired to disperse the crowd, or is it going to be, you know, your answer is they're outside the rope and it's Salty Dog's problem? I just see this as being the weak link in this whole organization at this point.
Okay. When I said that we will have them dispersed, that will be something we ask the police department to do. So I think we have, how many? We have 3 total officers out here. We can bring one from the start of A dock out here to disperse the crowds if we see that gathering. So it's something that we can order the sheriff's department to do if we see it happen.
Okay, I mean, that's really the weak link. I think you have control over what you're doing, and I consider a boat to be similar to a car or a house, where what you do on it and how you do it is really up to you guys. So you're controlling the dock, which is good, and you're controlling the number of people in that area. So that's all of my questions.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Barry. At this stage, you've had your opportunity to ask questions, and I would like to go around one more time to see if anyone has a suggestion or proposal that they would like to offer up as a condition to be added to the temporary use. And again, I want to go around the horn. So Skip, do you have anything you want to offer or suggest?
No, not really. No.
All right, thank you. Jerry?
I guess my only question kind of comes back to you, Mr. Mayor. I mean, so there's 3 officers there and they can say, please disperse, there's social distancing. Can those officers, if people refuse to wear masks or they refuse to disperse, can those officers issue citations? Under our town ordinance, they can't, can they?
Well, the officers would not be working under our town ordinance.
Right.
So the officers are still authorized to issue citations anytime they encounter a gathering of 3 or more people that they think poses a threat to public health. That has been in place even before the pandemic, but the governor had emphasized that that was an authority for law enforcement throughout the state. And so our Charleston County Sheriff's deputies have the authority to issue citations if they believe that a group of 3 or more poses a threat to public health.
Okay, well, I mean, just making a comment. With all these numbers spiking and especially our local medical folks begging for masks and stay home and social distancing, I have real problems for us encouraging 170, 250, however many people are going to show up over there in a big gathering, even if they're out on boats part of the day. So I really have concerns about the town encouraging people coming together that are unrelated and could possibly, you know, make the spread worse in our part of the county. So that's my comment for now.
All right, thank you. Pat, anything to offer? Any further comment?
Hmm. I was happy to hear that there were going to be 3 officers. That was a question I forgot to ask. Not really. I do somewhat understand what Jerry is saying. I don't want to be, I don't know. I'm really up in the air about this. So listen to what everybody's saying. That's it.
All right, thank you. And anything further from you, Barry?
Well, I do believe if we are going to issue the permit, then the permittee should be the responsible party to make sure that there are no crowds in the Bohoket Marina. If they want to coordinate with a Salty Dog or whatever, we should put the responsibility on them. And I do believe that the permittee should also require to put signs out clearly stating at all entrance points that this is a private party, private, whatever you want to call it, private gathering, and that the public is not allowed in the area, so that it's clear that people aren't to be hanging around there.
All right, anything else?
I am with Jerry that my personal opinion is this is probably not the appropriate thing, but at the same time, I do think they've taken every reasonable precaution and they need to make their own choice. So I don't, like I said, personally, I would think this is somewhat risky for them, but at the same time, it's their choice.
All right, thank you. One of the things, Barry, that you said was it should be up to the permittee to control the crowds at the marina. I'm not sure what you had in mind by that, but of course, the marina remains open, the restaurants are open anytime, and so far as I know, the only regulation that is in place within the town has to do with our requirement of a prohibition of gatherings of more than 10 people and a requirement that gatherings of 10 or fewer practice social distancing. But so far as restaurants and bars are concerned, they are operating under other guidance as far as at one point, it was actually required that they arrange to have no more than what had been their 50% of their capacity. And I think that's been relaxed somewhat. But that exists and remains in place as guidance for restaurants. So in the case of the Salty Dog, they have both indoor and outdoor dining. And I will have to say that I have not been there, so I do not know what they have implemented to comply with the guidance that they've been provided for operation of both their indoor and outdoor dining. Of course, Fisher's is, I think it's indoor dining only. I know that there is a space outside where people would go to smoke, but unless they carried their beverage outside, I don't think you could characterize what Fisher's has as outdoor dining. The pizzeria does have a couple of tables for indoor dining. I can't say I've ever seen those tables full. I've seen people in there, but they don't have any outdoor dining. And again, they would be subject to whatever guidance applies for their operations. So what I'm getting to is, I think the question of management of crowds is probably more appropriately addressed by the use of the sheriffs, who have the ability to disperse crowds and to issue citations if they believe that a gathering of 3 or more is a threat to public health. And I acknowledge the concern that's been expressed that under the current circumstances, encouraging a large gathering would be contrary to what I think is appropriate for the town. However, I think that, as I would understand the way this is intended to operate, you'll have participants that are out on boats for, I guess, the bulk of the time. And so, except for whoever happens to be manning a booth, and my understanding from our discussion today is that the public will be roped off from having access to those booths, if I understand what Bo had said about that correctly. So you have participants that are going to go out on the dock and go aboard the boats and go out and fish, and then when they come back, they'll have the opportunity to they can have food delivered to the boat if they want to eat on the boat. Otherwise, they can go to have their fish weighed, and I guess they can go visit the sponsor booths if they so desire. But to me, for the way it's been described, I don't see it as promoting a large gathering within the town. I think there will be a number of people that are going to be out fishing most of the time. So with that said, I am at the point that I think we can call for a vote to approve or deny the request for a temporary use permit. And again, I want to do this. I believe, Joe, that we should have a motion for approval. Is that correct, Joe?
Yeah, you would need a motion and a second and a vote. Before you do that, we did put, when the agenda was distributed, if anyone had any public comments or anything, they could submit those to the town clerk prior to the meeting. If she's there with you, just wanted to make sure whether or not she had received any.
Close the door, please.
Did you receive any public comments, Madam Clerk?
No.
She says she did not receive any.
Okay, that's all. Then yeah, just a simple motion, a second and a vote. And I would recommend, because they're not, I guess, part of the official application, if the motion is to approve the request to incorporate the precautions that were included as a separate attachment as part of that permit, if you wish to grant it.
All right, so can we have a motion for approval of the permit with those appended precautions as being incorporated into the permit, as well as what I believe I understood from Councilman Goldstein is a requirement that there be signage placed at any of the entrances, I guess, to the, essentially to provide access to the docks, that it's a private tournament.
The motion?
Yes, I'm calling for a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Very well, we have a motion and a second for approval with the proviso that the precautions that have been set out are included together with the requirement for signage to inform people, the members of the public, that it is a private event. Any questions or comments on the motion?
I'll make just one comment, and it's a broad comment, and I'm not so sure what we can do about it, but I am worried about what kind of message having an event like this, whether it's a billfish tournament, a golf tournament, a kids playing soccer tournament, whatever it might be, what kind of message it sends to our community. Hey, on one hand, we're telling people, stay away from each other, space yourselves out on the beach, make sure you're wearing your mask whenever you're out. And then all of a sudden we have something like this, which, as I said, this is a fun tournament to have. The circumstances are such that maybe this isn't the time. That's my comment.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Any further comment? Questions? Jerry?
Oh, I don't have any further comments. I'll ditto what Skip said, that this could be the wrong message when we're trying to kind of promote greater safety.
All right, thank you.
I got one more question. How many people did you have at the event last year?
At the event total, I could not tell you that number. We had a total of, I believe it was 34 boats that fished last year. Other than the gatherings, I couldn't tell you that one. But we are capping off our dockage at the marina at 20 boats. There will be no more than 20 boats that can dock at the marina.
Can I ask one quick question? Is this the tournament still part of I guess it's the Governor's Billfish Cup, or I forget exactly what it's called.
Correct. So we recently had Georgetown Landing cancel their tournament, and there was a meeting within the committee of the Billfish tournament that if Georgetown or Bohicket canceled, it would not be a Governor's Cup tournament anymore. However, we could still host our tournament, and there will be representatives from the Governor's Cup here to measure fish, to be part of it, but it will not be counted as a Governor's Cup Series tournament.
Okay, that was going to be my question. Have other locations elected to proceed or cancel?
Correct. We Georgetown canceled yesterday, and Edisto they canceled their tournament, which was scheduled for I think this weekend. They canceled their tournament in April, and that's when they made the announcement that they were not going to have it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joe. We kind of got out of order. But, Pat, do you have any further questions or comments on the motion?
No, no, I'm fine.
Oh, very good. We've been around the horn. We've had questions and comments on the motion. So I'll now call for a vote on the motion. All in favor of approving the application for a temporary use permit with the qualifications as described and appended to be incorporated, together with a requirement for signage, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Sorry, Bo, but the permit is denied.
All right, thank you, Mr. Barrett. Thank you, everyone, for at least just hearing us out and getting together on this and hearing our thoughts. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
There being no further business, we had one item on the agenda, and we have conducted that business. For the record, again, I affirm that the application for a temporary use permit by the Bohicket Marina and Market for a billfish tournament has been denied. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bo. 10:41.